Hello and welcome to my model corner. It's time for another model build to add to the growing aircraft and ships in my collection.
You can hear them at night. They whisper to each other and then cry.
So Project 28 will be the E-2C Hawkeye Airborne Early Warning Aircraft. This will be my very first kit manufactured by Kinetic.
Now, before the party begins, let's go over the details.
This particular E-2C model kit sports the older style 4-bladed propellers. However, although it is not noted in the instructions, the parts for the 8-bladed propellers are actually included. It's simple to figure out how to put them together, and with small modifications at the back and or at the engine mount, you can upgrade your Hawkeye to the new version E2 if you so choose. Based on online images, our actual Hawkeye Bureau number 164495 source for our model appears to have been modified to the 8-bladed propellers while assigned to VAW 120. There are also photographs of this aircraft with 8 blades while it was later assigned to the VAW 121. So keep in mind you would have to purchase or make custom decals as well as change some features of the paint scheme to maintain accuracy depending on the time period specifically for 164495. To keep things simple, I'll continue with the intended 4 blades kit edition as well as exhibit this model with the wings extended. So you'll have to determine if you want to watch this one because
Once the door is locked, there's no way out. The windows have bars that a jail would be proud of, and the only door to the outside locks like a vault. There's no electricity, no phone, no one within miles, no way to call for help. So if any of you decide not to stay for the party, you must let me know before midnight.
let's begin getting some of the easier big ticket build items ready to go. And how can we resist not starting with the large rotodome, which quickly distinguishes this aircraft visually? I've been eager to do the E2 Hawkeye for a while now, however this particular model kit was very problematic and the most difficult I've encountered for this channel. I'll discuss topics during the course of this video about poor fits at times, errors in the instructions, and other problems. While the alignment pins are located nicely, the pegs and tabs are sometimes too long or too wide. This requires cutting away or sanding down of these parts. Also, there is some warping of the longer pieces. While a couple of clamps would suffice to get the mating surfaces nicely together on most models, these parts needed an excessive number of them to interface the whole length of the pieces and eliminate out of tolerance gaps. Let's prepare the cockpit for priming and painting prior to its assembly. Most of the detail work will not be visible when completed unless lighting is provided through the overhead windows and your eyeball is close up to the cockpit glass. Our first notable instruction error is that the yokes are part H18, not F18. Here's a quick overview before we install our completed flight compartment. Because of the large tail and radar dish, this model requires a significant 50-gram counterweight in the nose to offset the aft-heavy configuration. I needed something dense and compact, so I picked up these lead fishing sinkers for my ballast. 5 of these orbs should be appropriate for the wings extended for flight arrangement, but I've heard you may need as much as 90 grams for the wings folded display option, and this is not noted in the instructions. Usually a little bit of ballast and a small space such as a nose radome can be easily filled with candle wax to hold the counterweight in place for a tail-heavy aircraft model. However, in this situation we have 2 fuselage halves and a larger area to fill aft of the cockpit to contend with, so a lot of wax would be needed. Using hot glue in this case gives us more adhesive strength to affix the spheres and reduce the amount of securing material required. The extra weight of about 5 grams of hot glue should have given a precautionary fudge factor for balance. But spoiler alert, it was barely adequate, best to use 60 to 65 grams. While the fuselage will be displayed and all closed up ready for flight, we can throw some not quite accurate paint onto this inner compartment section and also fill in the crew stairs on the hatch door for fun before sealing it off from view later on. The fuselage needed a bit of finagling and mating had to be accomplished a few inches at a time for the 2 halves to smooth out the overall alignment. Still, there was a bit of a step formed at the nose that could not be avoided and will also have to be sanded down. As you may note, a bit of tacky putty was placed on the crew window panes to protect them from paint overspray and accidental scratching of those surfaces. The top fuselage and wing root segment tends to want to pop out from the main body. Some decent pressure is needed to get the section into place. For the propeller shafts, the cylinder base is too tall and actually rubs up against the propeller bulkhead. We have to sand down this drum to make it flush when it is seated. A little lubricant was added to assist in subsequent propeller rotation. The engine cowling and main landing gear sections during a dry fit check revealed that the underside aligns well to the wing, but the forward mount presents with a significant step formed, which will need yet more work to blend them together. These edges can be reduced by employing strong clamps. We'll sand down this step after masking the area to protect the surrounding detail and then fill in with putty and then merge. Before we go any further, let's close up this door. Next, we add the support beams for the wing's extended display option. Unfortunately, instead of glass insert pieces for windows for the cockpit and nose, we have large transparent parts. This will require early installation in order to match up the parts to the main fuselage with sanding and other work that risks damaging the clear portions. After masking off the appropriate interior and exterior areas, we can scuff up the exterior with fine sandpaper to help in affixing the paint. A layer of black pigment is spread over the interior to better suit the outside look paint tones. Because of the high visibility paint scheme used on the actual aircraft, we'll use the pre-shading method on the panel lines and darker shadow areas throughout the exterior of the airplane, rather than the black shading technique. Continuing with our pre-shading, we concentrate on filling in the leading edge panels of the wings. With the cockpit outer surface and nose attached and blended, we can carry on our work by filling in the anti-glare zone in front of the forward windows and overlay more panel lines. As you may have noticed, the pre-shading is being done in a piecemeal manner instead of finishing all of the assembly to start with. At this point, I was looking to keep things going ahead instead of taking days or even weeks without advancing somehow. In anticipation of adding our main body color, we can mask off our pre-painted leading edges. The only gold gray paint I could find in stock at the time was his Custom Colors brand that went on just fine, but it did not adhere very well to the plastic, and even after drying for days, it would pick up fingerprint oils. I resorted to using my own blend that probably could have used a little more white in the mixture because it appears darker under some lighting conditions. The walkway patterns are simple enough that we can forego the decals and actually paint it in. After copying the patterns from the decal sheet, it was discovered that it is a little incorrect. The left side is short one panel, and on the right side, lining up the bottom with the hatch brings the top of the offset T too far below the forward edge of the wings. Thus, by custom painting these areas in, we can correct for this. After tacking down our templates, masking tape can be placed around the outlines and then removed. Next, we apply random white and black tracings to enhance a faded appearance and then further complement the look by rubbing fine sanding paper and sanding sticks to these areas to further wear out our paint. Following up, flexible cardstock assists in penciling in the fine dark border of the walkway edges. It's time for some panel detailing with a black oil paint and a lighter fluid wash.
Destroys everything with hair and flesh. Just leaves the bones.
This works well, but the lighter fluid evaporates relatively quickly from our reservoir cup, needing persistent refilling to maintain consistency. For the propeller blade tips, we can lay down a white base region with an airbrush and hand paint in our red stripes and bare metal leading edges. In expectation of adding scratch-built antenna cable rigging not talked about in the kit instructions, we can drill holes to form attachment points on the underside of the horizontal tail and create posts with stretched sprue. Then we can catch up painting here with the rest of the aircraft. Once again, taking the time to mask off simple markings, we can eliminate decals and provide genuine painted designs on our vertical tail faces. The interior red paint in the wings only applies to the flap sections, not the aileron portions. The underneath of the inner flaps have this black paint to presumably hide the engine exhaust soot buildup. Let us take our quad tail to completion by adding our decal markings and then putting it all together. The decal placement phase encounters some hurdles as the provided guide was more detailed so that panel lines you might reference from the diagram in planning decal positioning may not actually exist on the model. We have a few more of those important little details we need to accomplish before continuing on with the main fabrication. Before we go inverted, time to place the dish support base on our Hawkeye. An error at step 7 is that two parts are listed as G5. G38 is the actual number for the piece on the right side of the image if you're looking for it on the sprue tree. There are many landing gear doors, flight control surfaces, and antennas to add before completing the underside. While adding the main landing gear, be sure to face the wheels inward rather than the traditional outward arrangement most aircraft exhibit. Let's roll out 180 degrees. More errors in the instructions show G22 in the aft hole when it should be in the forward hole, and the windshield wipers have no part numbers here. They're F21 if you're curious. Also, in step 17, the G22 post is in the correct hole and the forward antenna G10 is suddenly affixed, having not been previously mentioned. Our nav light covers are mostly clear, but the pieces have small depressions that you can add the correct bulb paint colors internally. For our rigging, dab a very tiny drop of CA glue and touch the end of the easy line and wait about 5 minutes for it to bond nicely, then continue similarly to the left stanchion and then to the underside tail post. There is also a second cable line from the emblem roundel to the tail post only on the left side. This kit is not readily suited for amateurs like me. It certainly requires practice skills to accomplish a reasonable completed model. Before unmasking all of our transparencies, another semi-gloss coat is sprayed on. We add on our distinctive propellers. Now for the pancake on top. Take care, and we'll see you later.